Those are my 5. Now you get to ask me 5 questions.
Wow.
I'm doing an episode.
I love it.
It's already gained popularity and it hasn't even aired yet. This is exciting.
Hi, how are you?
What a handsome duo you are.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're leaving that in. We're leaving that part in.
The women will not know what to do. You're smooth.
Thank you. I love it. All right. Question 1.
Okay, I'm noticing on your laptop, you have taped
Oh, yes.
little fortune cookie.
Yes,
fortunes.
I do.
Which one's your favorite and why?
My favorite is actually You Are Unlimited, because for me, when I got back into singing, I had to let go of a lot of stage fright issues, and I had a lot of them. I had to really recognize that I was so concerned with other people's opinion of me, and based on, it's a catch-22 because you're trying to please people, and then you get so caught up in trying to please them that you don't celebrate and enjoy the process of being an artist, and then you don't get the feedback you want, and you start spiraling. So
I never would have thought that of you because you're such a confident artist.
My God. So cut to grad school, I'm doing a master class. I'm singing, I get a little bit of phlegm in my throat, and I completely freak out, and I have to go into a bathroom. I have to excuse myself from the masterclass, and I'm like, I can't do this, and I have to leave. I go into the bathroom, and I have a complete mental breakdown, and I'm like crying and shaking, and I'm like, something's not right here. So I started the process of journaling and doing something called the artist's way. If you are an artist struggling with kind of trying to find your space, do the artist's way by Julia Cameron. It will change how you view yourself. You're going to have to dig through and find all your junk, and it's painful and hard, but you'll come away a much better artist, because you'll start creating art for the sake of art and not for the sake of praise, which, for me was a long journey. So this one reminds me, when I have self-doubts, that the only limits I have are the ones that I place on myself. And if, other people don't get what I do, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm in a place right now where I'm very happy. I have a wonderful life. I get to be a singer, and I appreciate that every single moment. And the only limits that I have are the ones that I believe in. So
great.
It's very new agey, and if you're not into new agey, then you can suck
But
it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. It's a journey. It's a journey. And for me, that helped bring me back to singing and helped me enjoy it much more. Like, I love performing. And when you get to, it's very rare that you meet an artist that you like and that you like singing with. And I feel like it's palpable. The energy when he sings and we respond and we're singing together. It's a very good team. So if you need a tenor and a baritone for Lucia.
And who doesn't?
Or Boam, I'm just saying.
Butterfly,
we're ready.
Yeah.
So totally. that's my favorite. I read them all, and in my office I have them plastered around as well. So
great. I have sorry, side note.
Yes,
I know I'm supposed to be asking you questions, but I have a painting of these birds. My grandpa was a chiropractor, and he loved birds. And in his office, he had different pictures of birds everywhere. And I asked my mom for the painting of the warblers.
Okay.
Because one of my worst reviews that I ever got, I was told that I had a warble that was quite distracting.
A warble, wow.
That was quite distracting.
So like a bird was on your shoulder?
I think so. But yeah. So just like you have these things to remind you of things that keep you grounded.
Yes.
That's one that I have in my studio, and I look at it almost every day, and I love it because it reminds me of how they're just opinions.
Yes.
Everybody's got an opinion.
Everyone has an opinion.
You know the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
And trust your instincts, and it's all going to be okay.
Exactly. We're waving to the artistic director of Saltmarsh Opera, Simon Holt.
Good evening.
He's saying good evening, in case you didn't hear. right. So next question.
Okay,
was
my
that
next question.
One or, that was one.
That was one.
Okay, good.
That was
good,
one.
good. Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm going to have 5. I think I can probably come up with them. All right, here's the next one. So, live theater.
Okay.
Is an exciting, exhilarating thing.
Yes.
What is the most incredible, whether it's a complete screw up, a mishap, exciting, life-changing, pick your category. What is one moment that has happened to you on stage or to somebody else while you're on stage that has blown your mind?
Okay, I have 2, and they're fairly recent.
Okay.
2 seasons ago, I was asked to sing Don Pizarro in Fidelio in an English production that was set in Bollywood. It was the coolest, craziest thing. And what's interesting about Skylight Music Theater is that they treat the operas like musicals. So we did 15 performances. I sang Don Pizarro 15 times.
Amazing.
The last performance, there was someone important in the audience, and at the end of the Act 1 finale, I started to feel my voice leave, and I completely freaked out. I mean, I sang the rest of Act 1. I left, and I was a wreck because I was like, I still had Act 2. There was a trio and a quartet to sing for Act 2, and then a little bit at the finale of the end of the show, and I was a wreck because I was like, how am I going to get through this show? How am I going to get through it? And I didn't speak, and I just stayed very focused, and I just kept breathing, and I drank a lot of water, and I just said to myself, you can do this, you can do this. And it was great because when that happened, it kept me in the moment, and it reminded me that I'm human. It reminded me that anything is possible when you're singing. Like, I felt great that day when I got up. It was the last performance. It means psychologically, my body was probably like on that plane already, ready to go. And it was like, I'm done. But the great thing is, Act 2, I went out, I opened my mouth, everything was fine. And I was like, okay, there's something greater at work here. And my own stuff got in the way. Yeah. And because that important person was in the audience, and once I let that go and I just came back to singing, it was fine. It was actually great. And I got an offer from that person after that. And they were like, you sounded great. And I was like, really?
If you only knew.
I was like, oh, yeah, exactly. So that was one. And then the other moment, again, with Skylight Music Theater and then later with the Center for Contemporary Opera, I did this, the hardest piece I've ever done in my life. It's called El Cimarron by Hans Werner Henze, who's a 20th century composer. Atonal, everything from vocal lines to falsetto to screaming to Sprechstimme.
Wow.
And it was for voice, guitar, percussion, and multiple flutes. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I got it. It was offered to me fairly late in the process, so I had to learn it really quickly. And like, I would go into rehearsals, just my stomach in knots, because I was like, I just memorized this today, what we're staging today, the night before. And so I was just a wreck. And again, because it was Skylight Music Theater and we did so many performances, by the time that ended, and because it was such a small ensemble, and the stage director was this wonderful woman named Eugenia Arsenis, who's Greek, and just she I don't know how it happened that she was like, you know, those people that you are stressing out and they come into the space and they just lay a hand on you and all of a sudden the world is okay. She's that woman. And she would be like, okay, I want you to do this move and sing upside down like this. And I'd be like, I can't do that. And she would just go, okay, do it. And I would get in there and I would do it and I would be like, that was amazing. She would go, it's okay. That's great. And that taught me that I could do any kind of, like, after that, I ended up doing a Rossini opera right after that. And I was like, Rossini's easy compared to this. It's not really. But it was the fact that I had gone through this experience of learning this really hard piece and doing so many performances. And because it's not something that there was a great tradition of, like, I didn't have, you know, there weren't like coaches that I could take this to and say, teach this to me from scratch and what are the traditions. So, I mean, basically the conductors that I worked with, we we worked on it and created it together. And I'd love to revisit that piece. I need a lot of time because it's a lot to remember. But it was a musical and a dramatic highlight because it's one person, like an hour straight, and it's an intense story. And so
Wow.
yeah, those are the two.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And what both of those examples show you what you look at on your computer.
Exactly. And that's again,
you are unlimited.
Because again, we all you have to have an ego to be a performer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you and I both have talked about this. We're realists. We know what we do and what we do well. And so it's sometimes difficult to allow ourselves to believe beyond our human selves. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so that we can, not like we're aliens, but like.
Although I know some they may be from Mars.
They may be. If people, do you drink coffee?
No.
Oh, okay. Alien. Don't drink coffee. I don't believe in people who don't drink coffee. No. But no, we forget that what we do is superhuman and that we're catalysts for this art form, and that we can be, when we're on stage, we're bigger than who we are in just our everyday life.
Right. So here's like a public service announcement that goes into a question that I have to ask.
Okay.
All right. For all of you younger singers out there, because of course we're young still.
Yes. In truth, we really are.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
From this angle.
Because remember, in Des Moines, 16 years ago,
yes,
we were 12.
We were 12. So.
Right. Young singers are not as encouraged nowadays to listen to recordings, to live recordings of the great artists from 2 or 3 generations ago. And that is something that Jerry instilled in me, that no teacher before Jerry would say, okay, go listen to Björling, listen to the balance in his voice, listen to Gili, listen to Di Stefano and Corelli, and all of the great tenors, not to duplicate their sound, but to understand the process and to understand the physicality and the technique behind what they sounded like. And so my question to you is, and so just listen to as many singers as you can.
Yes.
My question is, who, when you need to center yourself, remind yourself of the history and the lineage that you are a part of, who do you listen to?
I am a singer that listens to a lot of people because I not only like to listen to the technical side of how they approach a role, I like to listen to the choices they make dramatically, specifically when listening, not watching them, listening. So I listen to a baritone who maybe you may or may not know, Tira Ruffo, older baritone, but they called him the voice of a lion. And this man was a ferocious singer, and always with soul. Everything he performed was with soul. Ettore Bastianini.
Oh, Bastianini.
It's probably the most gorgeous, rich, exciting voice, and I get chills talking about it because that's who in my head is like when I hear him sing Verdi or some of the Verismo stuff, I go, it's so exciting and it's so ridiculous, and it gives me inspiration.
Yeah. Have you seen on YouTube the Forza with
him
Corelli, and Tebaldi?
I've seen not for a long time, but wow,
guys,
world-class singing.
You need to watch
world-class singing.
It is. I think it's in Parma, and it is so ridiculous.
You're like,
it's like a lesson.
It is. It really is, and it makes you want to just go and practice because you're like, I have so much work to do.
Cool.
Americans that I listen to, Leonard Warren. I love Robert Merrill because Robert Merrill had an ease in the top part of his voice that was so just beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
I listen to other Herman Pry, who, when I was learning Barbiere, I listened to him because there was always an incredible sparkle and energy and beauty in his sound. Singers today, I'm a fan of Horostovsky because I think he's the closest thing to the lineage. I feel like he's in line, and I feel like 50 years from now, people are going to be like, oh, of course, that makes sense. Some people don't like him. I love him. I think he's a beautiful singer.
Yeah, me too.
His breath control is sick. I'm like, this man is obviously a machine. And then, oddly enough, I mean, I listen to tons of baritones, but I love female voices as well. So when I want to be inspired, I listen to Cecilia Bartoli because she has an incredible joy of singing. If you watch her sing, yes, the faces may be a little crazy, but that woman loves singing and she loves making music. Leontine Price for sheer, like when I just want to worship a sound.
Another great recording is
her
and Corelli
doing Trovatore.
Yes. Tosca. They did a Tosca. Oh my gosh, that was live at the Met. You can get that on iTunes, and that is
it's ridiculous.
What I love, I tend to go more to the live recordings because
you want to hear them in performance.
I want to hear their process. I want to hear what Corelli did and how he actually sang Cavaradossi live and in the moment, because I learned so much about how to sing the role
versus like hearing a studio recording where you're not going
to get all the information.
Right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Yes. So yes. And, it's fascinating because there are so many amazing singers, Shirley Barrett, let's see, Piero Cappuccilli, Renato Brunson. There's just so many amazing. I mean, I can't.
Well, it's great.
And again, today there are beautiful singers as well, but you may not hear of most of them because I'm like one of the best. And I say that again. I'm very honest. And it's so exciting and visceral and beautiful and nuanced and
thank you.
And
I feel the same
world class.
Seriously, we need to do more.
I wasn't fishing for a compliment, but thank you. I'm gonna take it, but I wasn't fishing. All right, so that was 3, 4. I don't know. We'll just
we'll do
one more. We'll do one more because we actually have a dress rehearsal.
Yeah, because what time is it?
It is probably.
Okay. Yeah, we've got 25 minutes.
Okay. Because we have to get into character.
Okay, one of the responsibilities that you and I have as we are becoming more established artists is to nurture young talent.
Absolutely.
My question to you is, what are you doing to mentor, to encourage, to uplift young artists so that they can have the wherewithal to believe all of these
things,
fantastic things on your computer, and to understand that it is possible.
Well, that's great. I spent 6 years doing opera education for 2 companies. And so one of the things that I did was run the Opera Columbus vocal competition. And that to me was one of the most exciting things, to see, 25 to 35-year-olds really finding their way. So that was really exciting for me. And then after I got back into singing, for me, I always find that I had a blog called Back in the Game, so that I could tell people my experiences. Okay, so I'm on this tour of Porgy and Bess. Now I'm home and I don't know what to do. And I wanted to relate the realism of this career, not just the quote unquote performance side, but okay, now what do? I have to find an agent, and now I'm changing agents, and what does that look like? And I didn't get a lot of responses. I mean, I knew I had a readership, but I didn't get people interacting. I decided to do 5 questions with Eric because not only did I feel like I had information to share, but I felt like my colleagues did. And I wanted to make that accessible because we're in a very video age right now, and everyone wants it now. And they not necessarily want to read, about just my own thoughts. So I feel like this is very important. I have done master classes in the past, and I hate that word master classes because I'm no master, but I feel like I can share information.
Absolutely. I
feel like, the one thing that I always talk about in singing is you have to sing what you can sing well. And if you come to perform something and you don't sing it well, then there's one of 2 reasons. The technique isn't there, which means you need to go back to the practice room and do what the jazzers say in woodshed until it's there, or you're singing the wrong repertoire. So one of those 2 things is happening, and all I can do is offer an opinion in that situation and say, well, how much work did you put in? And why don't you know what you're saying? And why don't you know that that's a closed E or an open O if it's in Italian? Or, why is your schwa more accented than, and just, what we do is really detail oriented. And so in any situation, if somebody is open, like I'd never go up to a singer and be like, if you would just sing this with an open close, I would never do that, because that to me that's their coach's place. But if anyone asks me, I would say, try this, I personally am all about vowel modification for singing, because I feel like, again, it helps to find the right space. The space behind, and then the gathering of it, collecting, however you want to put it, works for me. Mm-hmm. And but that's trial and error in many ways. So, but anyway, this for me is a real. Hopefully, lots of young singers will see this.
It's great,
and
I hope they do too.
I do too. And I think it's great for them to be able to see. We're not at the Met yet. But we're singers who are actually working, and we're doing this as a career, and they need to know that this is also a possibility. That it's not just the Met or die. It's like, well, it's being an artist in the field, in the trenches, day in and day out.
Absolutely.
And that's what being an artist is.
Thank you! Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, well, this has been 5 Questions with Eric. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.